Hot diggity damn, it's another edition of Draped in Gold, your one-stop shop for NXT content all around the planet. It's your boy, Little Boyce. I am in the catbird seat, but joining me this week is the man that looks so suave with the tie, Cedric Welton. What's going on, sir?
What's going on, Flo? Thank you for having me. We have a very interesting episode of NXT to say the least.
Yeah, are you between moving and shaking? Are you making deals? Talking to your agents? What's going on? Fan club style? Like,
Well, I'm a man of many clients, and we know that we have a big, hopefully, main event match that I'm working on for June 9th, Battleground with Miss Vice and the
oh
Queen of
yeah,
Spades. So,
oh
going
absolutely.
to and fro there, there's a lot of things I got to get done. It's only a week left. I'm a little stressed out. Can't lie.
I mean, your girl Lola looks like she's primed and ready. But let's get into the biggest story ever that happened this week on NXT. Chase you. No, I'm just kidding. Ethan Page is on NXT. What is going on here, man? Attacking Trick Williams, attacking Noam Dar, and attacking the boys in the back. What's going on with All Ego right now, Ethan?
You got me there in the Chase U thing. I almost I thought we were taking a very turn down the wrong aisle. But no, that was the biggest shocker of the night. And we talk about this on WWT Live all the time, that it feels like um the start of this Trick Williams title run kind of was void of all challengers. So it should almost be expected that a main roster name would come down and kind of give the title run legitimacy. And there was nobody. And it's like, okay, Noam Dar, I can see it. Metaphor just had their anniversary. It makes sense. And the love triangle or the love angle thing with Lash, but Ethan Page, man, like that was done very quietly. And I appreciate that. In an era where everything gets leaked and we like have spoilers all the time, it's like, oh, this person signed, he's reporting to the PC. It's like, no, he just showed up. That's beautiful. That's
Oh,
why I watched wrestling as a kid. The surprise.
let's be real. Ethan Page is someone that we always thought was basically one of the more underrated talents on Impact. And the AEW run started off pretty hot, but kind of fizzled toward the end. And now NXT has a chance to be slotted into the main event picture. But let's be real. What is the ceiling, you think, of Ethan Page on Tuesday night?
You know what? I felt like the tail end of that AEW run was very strong. The work, the promo work was done. The backstage segments were all very strong. And you know what? I would argue, being, I guess, the fifth person that's crossed the street now, I think it'll be I think he'll be seen as a main event player. I think the way we saw Sean Spears kind of have that surprise debut, I think he'll be steps above that. I think they're really going to value him in NXT.
Here's a question. If you're Ava, do you add that title match to Battleground? Do you have Trick Williams take on Ethan Page in the main event, or do you think you'll wait that wait?
Well, I am biased because Lola Vice is the main event, and the second ever Battleground with a different combat sports athlete. So I think you can add it to the card, but what does that mean for Noam Dar? Is he not going to be cleared by June 9th? Should it be a triple threat? That way you push this one-on-one revenge angle down the road. I don't think that you'll get a one-on-one match with Ethan Page that soon.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying there. And first of all, I want to apologize for the intermittent internet here today. On my end, it looks like me and Spectrum want to have a match after the fact. But got to give a shout out to everyone watching live on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitch, Twitter, or X, and Trovo Live. It means the world to me for you to check this out on Draped in Gold. But before we got to the Ethan Page thing, or say before we even got to that moment, the match, our main event, was Trick Williams and Javon Evans, because he's bouncy, taking on Gallus. And Sexy Red is hanging out on NXT. Cedric, what's going on, man? This tag team match was killer. You got Sexy Red in the back. She's hosting Battleground. What makes you say you?
In lieu of everything, all things Sexy Red, which I wasn't here for originally, but I'm just worried about Booker T when he goes home at night. I am concerned.
What do you mean?
I am concerned. I feel like we're going to get that TMZ picture of Booker T and Charmel with the split down the middle. It's going to be breaking news.
Oh yeah,
Booker.
Yeah. Well, to
Booker's
Booker's credit,
very NXT 2.0 ish lately.
he says the same 5 phrases, so he could be a sounding board. He'd be like, "Yo, Charbel was an algorithm that said, oh yeah, man."
I hope so, because the way he was fawning over Sexy Red throughout the night, just very dangerous. But the match itself, I thought it was a good match. It's great to see Javon kind of get in the spotlight in the main event, kind of being adjacent to Trick Williams. We're going to see more Sexy Red at Battleground. I think that's cool. And Gallus, like I mentioned before, they've doubled down. They're not only coming for North American gold, they're coming for world title gold. So that was very interesting. But where was Wolfgang?
Oh, yeah, that was my next question. What's Wolfgang doing? Do you like New Gallus, and where do you think Wolfgang was this week?
Maybe he's out training Final Boss again. Maybe he's like getting that check. So we'll have to see where he was at. But the new Gallus is cool. I like the bully angle of them just trying to rule NXT with an iron fist. I love that. I
Oh
love
yeah,
when you have factions actually mean something.
yeah, and Javon Evans, you a fan?
Yeah, I think it'll take time for that first title reign, but I think it says a lot that they're endorsing him so early
Oh
to
yeah,
put him
yeah,
in these different spots on the main part of the card and with the current champion.
yeah, and he's bouncy. All right.
Yes, he
So
is.
let's talk about the other surprise here this week on NXT. Jordan Grace, Roxanne Perez heads on down to the ring, doesn't know who her challenger is going to be for the NXT Women's Championship. And Ava comes on down and says it's going to be this. Sirens go off. The entire CWC, do we call it that still? Went absolutely nuts. Booker T was like, yeah, man. Thoughts about that? Jordan Grace on NXT.
Huge. Huge. I love the crossover. I love the fact that she's getting another run in WWE. We last saw her in the Royal Rumble and just kind of forgot about it. But it's showing that they're so the thing about Roxanne is like she's up here and the rest of the division is like tiers below. No
Whoa,
reputable
hot take,
challengers.
hot take, hot take.
Well, not in a bad way. I'm just saying they haven't presented her with any credible challengers, and she's a 2-time champ. So you bring somebody else in that's a champion, that's a legitimate threat. But the thing is, they're not in WWE. I think that's huge.
Yeah.
And I think Jordan's a real threat to walk away with that title at Battleground.
Well, the question that's blowing up in the chat right now is that the Forbidden Door, is it officially open? Are we going to get a Worlds Collide? Are we going to get a Slammiversary show that has talents? Is this just a step in the bigger direction or just a one-off, you think?
So just to retort Nesson's Cedric versus Ali, he's not talking about me. He's talking about Cedric Alexander. I will
it should
not
be
be
you,
challenging
though.
for the X Division title. I am simply an advocate for Lola Vice. Simply an advocate.
Simply an advocate. The wise man.
Forbidden Door, yes. And I'll take a step further. There needs to be a Worlds Collide. It's been a long time since we had a Worlds Collide event. I think that type of joint event would do numbers here in 2024. Just champion versus champion, grudge match versus grudge match. I think that would be beautiful if they were able to pull that off.
It looks like it's funny. Neeson's getting upset. He says it's pronounced Neeson, but I won't forget the time I was on your podcast. You called me Flobo Bryce. Ain't no R's in Boyce, you son of a gun. But I'm with you, man. I mean, look, I was expecting Jordan Grace, but I know at the Royal Rumble, which she so cleverly reminded people who don't watch Impact who she was from, right? That's great. It was to reestablish who you are. That was kind of a huge thing because she had a huge response there too. And Roxanne Perez, to your credit, doesn't have a much opponents to take her on because half the women's roster are in that women's North American title picture as of now. The match itself is going to be a banger, but there was some talk online saying that NXT is a step below TNA and Jordan Grace shouldn't even be on that show. Thoughts about that?
Whoa. Wow. I certainly have not heard that. I know there's a lot of praise for the Knockouts division, and as there should be, but I mean, a lot of people feel like the athlete pipeline in NXT for the women's division is very strong. A lot of people think that's the deepest division in all of women's wrestling, and I tend to agree. So I wouldn't say it's a step down. I think it would be quite equal if I was to make a comparison.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. I think if you're the best, if you're a champ, you should be able to take the fight anywhere. Like I'm a firm believer a champion go, and you should be able to fight independent. You should be able to fight WrestleMania. If you follow the 2K storyline this year, that's kind of like how you at the finale you fight all over the world with the title. So I'm about that as well. Now, if you had a chance to do a Worlds Collide match, who would you have? What would be your dream match if TNA and WWE NXT got into it together?
Wow. So if it's just TNA and NXT, give me like Joe Hendry and Lexis King.
Wow.
I think that would be pretty interesting. Let's see, we're seeing Jordan as well as Roxanne. Dude, I would want. Give me Chris Bay versus Javon.
Whoa, that's too bouncy. That's too bouncy. I don't.
Yeah, give me something like that. There's so many beautiful crossovers that can happen.
Yeah, I know I did it for funsies on Twitter, or X, but I'm still into that Almas Satnam Singh match. That'd be crazy. Just 14 feet of just you ring together, you know. But let's move on. Let's move on to your girl, Lola Vice. Had a match backstage with Ariana Grace because Ariana Grace basically talked herself into a matchup. Now, Lola has a match against Shayna Baszler, the Queen of Spades, the Submission Magician at Battleground, NXT Underground, which is the first time NXT Underground is making a pay-per-view appearance. But Lola Vite's path to a live event of the premium nature, my friend, has been full of twists and turns and silly decisions. She wins tonight pretty handedly, but really, what is Lola's prospects heading into Vegas next week?
It is. She does have a weird path from being breakout tournament winner to cashing in her contract in a triple threat that was actually, or not even a triple threat, to a championship match and making it a triple threat. Just a lot of weird twists and turns, but the consistency is they're giving her an opportunity to sink or swim. She's getting the face time. And I think that's the beauty here. And now she's facing. It's almost like looking in the. Well, I don't want to say looking in the mirror. They're very much polar opposites. But as far as a combat sports athlete, they're looking in the mirror, and now she has the ability to tell a story and kind of make a name for herself. She made a name being the first women's underground match. Now she can make a name for herself defeating like a legitimate NXT royalty in Shayna Baszler. Not to mention debuting in the UFC Apex for WWPLE altogether. There's so many great tea leaves leading into that match, and I think, honestly, I think win or lose, if she has a strong showing, it'll put her on the map.
As an advocate for Lola, who is Lola Vice? Like, what is she? What is her appeal? What is the thing that makes her stand out for you? Why you're a huge fan? For someone maybe uninitiated.
Huge fan just because she brings something different to combat sports. Obviously, the pretty face with legit combat ability, but in WWE, it's the fact that she's probably going to be one of the few combat sports athletes that can actually be more marketable outside of WWE, whether it be merch, appearance, autograph signings. I think she'll be more marketable personality, even more so than Ronda if she can get to that point in the WWE world. I mean, and that's where I think her appeal is, and that's why I think she's being given these chances to kind of build a character inside the WWE sphere because they see that marketability.
Ah, well, I'm glad you do, because I feel like every time Lola loses, I'm like, oh, Cedric's gonna have a bad time with this one. So
she has to stop emoting so much. Too many emoting to just fight.
I mean, yeah, it's kind of weird getting your ass kicked and then having her sashay around you, but that's cool. But speaking of sashay, Sexy Red did that all the time. That's fine. And everyone loved that. Booker loved that part. You know what I'm saying?
Booker loved it. Booker, oh my God, saying, can I see it again? Can I see it again has been my intrusive thought for the past like 12 hours.
Fair enough, man. Let's talk about things that I get mad about. Other women's matches here, qualifiers for the NXT North American Women's Ladder match at Battleground. First one up was Michin versus Tatum Paxley. Now, Michin and Tatum Paxley kind of made their way down to the ring while the title was being presented, and they had the first dust up. Michin beats an NXT star. She's going to Battleground, but the internet is saying, all these main roster talents are burying NXT. You a fan? You agree or disagree?
You know what? In this case, I do agree. I feel like Michin had her run in NXT, and this is like you got to like repackage, rebuild, and I get that, but I feel like Tatum Paxley could have done a lot of good in the ladder match. I mean, she's been really like nailing this new character, but also in ring, she's very much improved. I was kind of surprised that she wasn't an addition. I mean, if there was going to be any main roster person to come down and be in this ladder match, I would have thought it would have been Ivy Nile. So I'm a little surprised that it is Michin. So, but we'll see.
Well, I'm not surprised he got slotted in. Like, I think that Michin is someone, but most like the Good Brothers, that kind of need something. Ivy now, I'll still associate too much with NXT, even though she is on the main roster right now. I guess what I'm saying is, like, I thought that Michin would have qualified like weeks before. The fact that she was like in the last day possible was kind of an interesting choice. I think that's kind of
she was number 3 in the combine.
That's what I'm saying. Like, that's kind of weird to me personally, but I don't know. Eat defeat, man. I think is an all-time finishing move for the women's division. What do you think?
I need to see something else.
What?
I need to see her get more into a mean streak. More. I know she's more of a brawler type. I need to see something else. I would love to see Michin add subs to her game.
Well, Jada Parker was watching around ringside. That's someone that can get a little tough. What about that? Put that into a street fight.
I would love it. I hope they both take each other out of the equation for the inaugural title match. I hope that NXT is great at telling secondary storylines, especially in the women's division. I think that could be the next one up.
Yeah, absolutely. And so you're on Team Jada? Are you a Jada Parker fan? She's going to win that one, you think?
I would love for Jada Parker to win that, just because I feel like she can carry the gravity as being the first women's North American champion. But I feel like I don't feel like it's her. I don't feel like it's her right now. Okay, I feel like it has to. I feel like it has to be Fallon.
Oh wow! Oh yeah. I mean, she is kind of a mean girl now, which is kind of weird how she became a mean girl, but she is.
Yeah, I feel like it. I feel like everything you're doing with Fallon to try to tell her story, if she doesn't win the big one, it's like for what? Yeah. And I think it's gonna. I think in similar fashion, it's funny because I know Kalani Jordan also qualified last night. She's been on a lot of these big matches already. Lost the breakout tournament to Lola. Was at Deadline, Iron Survivor as well. She's losing a lot of big moments, and I'm wondering when her like come to God moment's going to be about just being the happy-go-lucky, happy to be here character.
Well, I mean, that's a very well. Let me ask about Fallon Henley first. So we saw Josh Briggs have this little promo package. Found like, you know what? I'm trying to figure out who I am. I found the family. I'm going my own different direction. Fallon Henley is now a mean streak. But to be honest with you, her win-loss record hasn't changed all that much by becoming a bad guy. Do you really think Kalani Jordan will benefit for having that mean streak as well?
Kalani Jordan has the benefit of, I'd say, an allegiance to somebody who benefited from a mean streak greatly.
Cedric Welton or...
No, not me. No, I'm saying, I mean, her very personal relationship with Carmelo Hayes can bleed on screen, and maybe she's taking advice from what Melo did to kind of change his aura in NXT. I can totally see that being a thing, and not being with him being him on SmackDown and her going into her whole gimmick in NXT. I can see that.
Okay. Let me stop here because I don't know, but you've been hanging around women's wrestling talk for too long because that brand is all about taking off-screen couples and putting them on screen. Why? If you're Kalani Jordan and you have the gymnastic thing, you're happy to be here. Why hang out with Carmelo Hayes? I like it. I'm not against it, but why should she attach herself to someone else? If she has a chance
I'm not saying she has to attach herself. They're on two different brands, but he can be like, hey, what are you doing? Like, you really are this person, and she just leans into that persona. It's like reminding yourself who you are. And like, if you look at her NCAA career, amazing accolades as an athlete, amazing champion in gymnastics. So why not lean into that some more and be like, hey, nah, like I'm really this person, but I haven't been believing in myself.
Well, I'll give you that. Let's talk about the actual match she qualified with, taking on Ren Sinclair, who got the glow up. I like the little like new ring gear, kind of references the old ring gear, but now it's kind of a whole different vibe. She does it pretty handily as well. Ren Sinclair has been a level up stalwart, if you will. Obviously not her time, but this one here looked like they were both fighting with a bit of urgency. Both these women want to be the face of the brand in the next year. So I ask you this time next year, who is going to be the bigger star, you think, Kalani or Ren?
Ooh, that's a good question. I feel like the way they want things to go, it should be Kalani, because Kalani is somebody that they have a lot of faith in, but just not there yet. Like literally right on the cusp, where 2025 can be it. Which is more reason why she should listen to Mello.
Okay. That's the reason. It all comes back to him.
Follow the blueprint. Went from
Right.
ruthless aggression to, hey, this is trick, and this is what we do at the barbershop, and yeah, do the whole thing.
Okay.
Join metaphor.
Join metaphor. He was like throwing out random storyline beats. Carmelo Hayes. Join metaphor. Go with Booker on commentary. Yeah, man. What are you a fan? And it's not a question. You don't have to be a fan, but are you a fan? Do you watch Level Up at all?
I try to get to it every now and then. I started getting back to a little bit after seeing like how big, I guess, Dante Chin was on Level Up, which I wasn't aware of. I was kind of wondering what happened to Dante Chin because he literally debuted on NXT 2.0.
Oh yeah, I mean that's exactly what happened. I tried. It was a lot easier when I was catching it live, but then I covered a SmackDown after show for Wrestling Inc. So I have to like watch it on the day or after. But anyway, Dante Chen was on NXT. Had a couple losses, went to Level Up, and he was like batting 500. He would win two, lose two, win one, lose one. But he was on every Friday. It was like the Dante Chen show. Like if they had a championship, it would be Dante Chen. You know what I mean? Or him or Luca Crucifino. And so he's back. And so the CWC loves him. I guess I got used to seeing him every week. And that whole thing kind of blew him up. But let's talk about that right now. Dante Chen thought he had a pretty much sizable win over Lexus King. Lexus King says it was a fluke. They had match number 2, and Dante wins the second time. CWC goes absolutely nuts. Do you buy into the first Singaporean WWE superstar?
I buy into it in NXT. And I only say that because I would be worried about what would happen on main roster, just what we've seen in previous years, even though I know it's a new Triple H regime. But I do buy into it that they can lean into it more, and eventually he can kind of go up the mid card ranks, even probably win the Heritage Cup. So I like that they're doing it now. It's funny. I was just telling the story how I was like sitting right next to Dante Chen at Stand and Deliver last year in Los Angeles, like right next to him. So it's great to see that they still had plans for him, and that he's going to be a big part of like Tuesday night NXT going forward.
Sit next to him and don't even watch the show. That's terrible, said. That is just abysmal.
I was too busy trying to make sure my client would get the main event.
You could have
Here we are a year later.
Now. You could have 2 clients.
I could have.
I like Dante. I think the problem I had with him was that he wasn't being featured as far as like his personality. He comes out, okay, tell me he's from Singapore. I've never been to Singapore, so I don't really know what aspects of draw and put onto Dante, but he'll come out, do his little bear pose and win and or lose. But now we see it. Here's somebody that has a story we could all get with. Was ready to go, was held back, said, I'm going to keep myself ready. And he won 2 matches against somebody who was pretty much the closest thing to being made. Like, I feel like Lexus King as a character is going to be part of NXT unless other things otherwise changes. I think I'll buy stock in Dante if I had the chance.
Absolutely. I think so too. And maybe you can educate me on this because you have followed more Level Up than I. But the last time I saw Dante Chen on NXT Tuesday nights before this, wasn't he in the background getting possessed by Boa?
Oh, yeah. So there was a tease of Boa still having the spirit of Tin Shaw. So if you guys remember Tin Shaw, that was to me one of my favorite storylines during the pandemic. It was kind of like this spirit, ancient Chinese spirit that he took from Mi Ying, which became Wendy Chu. And so Boa had it in him. He lost the street fight to Solo Sikoa, was out for about a year. And backstage, they were kind of teasing it, trying to put the face pin on him. Never actually officially happened, even though they tagged on NXT live events in the Florida loop. So I looked, they were like experimenting with that before letting Boa go about a month ago.
Interesting. I thought that would have been a good storyline to continue because I I thought I was a fan of the T and Shaw thing.
Yeah, I was too. I wasn't sure how unoffensive or offensive it was. I mean, it wasn't really my culture to say anything,
Mm.
but I enjoyed the story of it being like this mystery every week of why is Xylee getting beat up or why is she joining, that sort of thing, personally. Speaking about who was getting beat up, though, your boy Oro Mensa, man, can't catch a break. I always feel like he's the fall guy in metaphor, getting pies in the face, getting slammed by doors, now getting beat up backstage. I would quit if I were him.
It's a thankless job. It's a thankless job being kind of the right hand guy in metaphor, but I don't know what Aura needs. I don't know what he needs, but I mean, I have to believe that metaphor is going to get their lick back on Ethan Page now that we know the truth.
Sure. Are they the good guys though? Are Metaphor the good guy? I know Last Legends conflicted, but we still want to root for Jakara Jackson and company.
I think there's a world where you can root for metaphor. I really do. I think there's a world where you can make them like a bigger, marketable babyface group. I don't know how you get there, but they're already teasing it with Lash. So why not just rip the Band-Aid off?
So let's talk about likability because the next match here to me is all about that. And that's a Chase U matchup, the one that should have led the show today. Riley Osborne does not believe in Ridge Holland, and Ridge Holland is apparently the most unluckiest guy in all of wrestling. So they had the match, and Riley Osborne did not win. Even though I think he's more likable. Thea Hale and Chase U take another loss, even though I think they're likable. Rich Holland's getting the attaboy from Andre Chase, even though I don't think he's likable at all. What say you, Mr. Welton?
I think similar to the D'Angelo family, we got to start looking into the payment scheme of Chase U and like where are the rest of the professors?
Why did everyone say that?
What?
It's a
How
wrestling
many?
show, and everyone's like, what are the academic credentials of Chase U?
Yes. What are the credentials? How do I apply to the school? What's the GPA upkeep? How many credits is Thea Hill taking? That's what I want to know.
It's
Let's
only
ask
been
the
3
real
years.
questions here.
Oh my
How many
gosh.
credits? When? Why has nobody graduated?
Brody did. Listen, man. Okay, Chase U may be a sketchy organization, but it seems very apparent that Andre wants Ridge around for some reason, but no one else does. What gives?
Whew. This is like a case of like real stuff bleeding in on screen. And I really don't know if there's a pathway out for Ridge Holland. As you remember, he just did the like I quit angle like within the past couple months. And it's like now he's being featured on screen. It's like I don't think that was enough time to go away. I
He didn't
really
go away
don't.
at all. It was 2 weeks.
Yeah. And I don't think Chase U is the way to get you over. This isn't like the Duke Hudson thing where he was Gambit for like a month and then he went away and then now he's like the A+ student at Chase U. It's not that type of thing. Like people very much still remember that he's the reason Big E is on kickoff shows and not wrestling. People remember that.
Oh yeah,
Like even despite his run in the Brawling Brutes, it's like people still remember. Like they really need to put him on ice. I think he's a great talent, but I don't think like this whole Chase U redemption story is going to make the fans cheer for him, let alone just care about his presence.
Is there a way out for Ridge, you think? Is there a way for us to cheer him again? Can we cheer him and root for him again?
I would hate to see somebody's career like literally end from like online peer pressure, but I
Yeah.
think they should have really done more with the whole with like the going away for a while. It should have been like through the end of the summer. Let me ask you this. What's interesting to me is what it seems like is Sean Spears like Uncle Howdy? Like the way he's talking? Like
Oh
why
yeah.
didn't they do more with that? Like he could have literally been like Sean Spears like understudy, student.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with that. Yeah, I think to answer your question, I think there was a path for that with the writings on the wall and all the scriptures and stuff. And Sean looks like to be player coaching backstage, but yeah, I do think that he do more. I think you were seeing it a little bit this week, but yeah, I do think that's one of the things that I was confused about how much is Sean Spears going to be on the show and involved in the show.
Right. And even the promo last night saying that here's so much knowledge he wants to give to the younger athletes. It's like, you fumbled your first athlete. Like, why is he in Chase U?
The
Why is he
learning
taking fake
tree.
classes?
For real. Talk about things that you can root for or not root for. Are you into North Quarter Crash Crew? They look like they're the good guys now, even though your boy Charlie has lost his mind.
So Charlie looks like he's taking a more leadership approach, which I love, that him being obviously the son of William Regal. I would say I can't root for the entire crew yet, but I'm rooting for Charlie. And I think what Charlie is doing is kind of weeding out, I guess, the use of the other two members of the Quarter Catch crew. And maybe you'll see an eventual just solo run from Charlie, which I think this will help elevate him to that point.
Okay. Yeah. The North Quarter Catch Crew doesn't seem as strong with three guys, but it does seem like one guy's going to be unhinged. It should be Charlie Dempsey, right?
Three guys and an apparent dead guy. So just the stench is all over the Quarter Catch crew right now.
They do not mention that guy at all. Shifting gears to the tag team division, Idris Enofe, Malik Blade, the guys with the worst luck in all of NXT, had a match against the Good Brothers, who were saying Nathan Frazier and Axiom were running and ducking them. Hey, look, Good Brothers get the win, number one contenders, and it's going to be official. NXT Battleground, Nathan Frazier and Axiom. So Good Brothers back on NXT, like me, Chin, you in, you out. How do you feel?
I am out.
What?
The Good Brothers, they like whatever's going on with them, like just not, what is it? Just not reinventing themselves. It's just copy paste, copy paste. They need something different, especially to be in front of the NXT audience, which is always feels like fresh and new. I like to. I want to talk more about Idris Enofe and Malik Blade, as I
Really?
feel like they are this iteration of NXT's Oni Lorcan and Danny Burch, where
Whoa,
eventually
that's a
they're
deep
going to
cut.
get the big moment. Eventually, like, the fans are going to want it so bad that they're going to get their moment and be champs. I think they're the team you got to put more stock in right now.
Is that something going to change, or are we going to get behind them with this whole bad luck thing, you think?
I think the fans are going to get behind them with the bad luck and really want to see them get the W. I think eventually they'll get some wins and then eventually get the title match at a PLE, and then they'll get their moment. And I think it'll be one of the most organic things we've seen in NXT, which we need more of. Need more organic stories to tell, and they've been in the brand for a while. I think
Yeah.
that comparison to them is spot on. If they just follow that blueprint, they'll get their moment.
Do you like the Brinley Reese thing? Because she got herself involved in the matchup getting knocked out this past
Ooh.
week.
I don't even know if you need it, but I think it gives it staying power for now.
Yeah, I'm with it.
I think it helps bring her character out a little bit while the women's division is extremely deep. We get to know more about Brinley Reese, obviously being on Level Up as well. But this gives her more of a development path on Tuesday nights.
Yeah. I mean, also because now we get more players, right? Because we may have the Worlds Collide. We may have more people coming in and out. Why not have her more dance partners on the brand, right?
Exactly.
So we got a crap load of promos just to wrap things up this week on NXT. A lot of crap load of promos. We got from Carly Bright, from Eddie Thorpe, the family, Josh Briggs. Anyone of those stick out to you the most?
You talking about like legit one-on-one promos?
Yeah, we had a promo for Eddie Thorpe. He's reborn. Josh Briggs has to find out who he is. Carly Bright's a cheerleader that has a new focus on bringing the positive energy. Wesley has his Wesley thing, in the ring. Like, what? Anyone kind of stick out for you?
I think Bright's promo stuck out for me because I don't know if there's been any. Well, correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know if we've seen like an actual cheerleader come out of that NIL pipeline before.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, that's different. So like that's a different type of athlete. And of course, cheerleading is a sport. We don't before we go down like that tangent. But I think it was interesting that we that we went down like memory lane of her doing cheer, I believe, at the University of Minnesota and what type of athlete she was and how she's bringing it to NXT. I think that's unique. It's showing that, hey, this is a cheerleader or former cheerleader in NXT. And I think there's probably other main roster stars that are cheerleaders, but this is the first time I've seen it actually like really highlighted as a part of the person's character.
Oh man, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah, Carly Bright has a really good future. I'm not doing the pun. Another a level up one. Stevie Turner was on level up a lot. She kind of talked herself into a match against Jordan Grace. And even though I like Stevie Turner, I'm a big Stevie Turner advocate, that was not a smart decision. So let me wrap this up here. I'm going to use some AEW things as I ask this final question. Jordan Grace shows up on NXT this week, backstage segment, has a match against Stevie Turner as a preview to her match at Battlegrounds. Did AEW fumble the bag in regards to Mercedes Moné and having her not wrestle as soon as she debuted? I know I shouldn't compare. I know that's going to get me flamed on social media, but people were saying that the fact that Mercedes didn't have a match until the PLE or pay-per-view hurt her brand.
It depends on how well you received the match against Willow, because I feel like we all knew what the inevitable was. I think the problem there was like heavily featuring her in backstage promo segments and then the mystery attacker and things like that. I think that hurt her more. Like if she would have showed up one day, which was big business, and then we didn't hear from her for like 2 or 3 weeks, then she shows up, cool. The problem was like just featuring her every single week without wrestling. You didn't need to feature her at all some weeks.
Yeah.
So I don't necessarily think she needed to wrestle. I just think she needed to do less. Like less is more. Like if you have her in your in your treasure chest, you don't have to keep pulling it out.
See, a perfect example. Hey, different companies do different things. We're not trying to start a war, y'all. Wrestling is for everybody. You know?
Yeah, literally. Like there's like wrestling. All wrestling takes critiques. Like I am very critical of Mr. Hickenbottom, but he looked like he had a really good time with Sexy Red last night. It's not for everybody. It's not for everybody, but it is for somebody. So
absolutely, wrestling is for everyone and somebody. Cedric, man, thank you so much, man. You coming through on here, just grabbing the hot analyst. Before I give you the whole social media outro, I got to ask you one more question. Who is your MVP of NXT? Who stuck out for you the most? And you have a lot of options this time for your MVP this week.
Ooh. Based on today, I'm going to throw you a curveball. I'm going to say it was Ariana Grace.
Go on.
I'm going to say Ariana Grace. Solely because if it wasn't for the surprise of Jordan Grace and All Ego Ethan Page, that was the segment promo of the night with the whole profanity blur with NXT logo.
Yeah.
That was a moment. And then her even doubling down and say, hey, there was no profanity said. I am a upright standing lady. And I would say she looked very good in the ring against Lola Grace.
Absolutely.
A lot of near falls, kind of doing the whole, like her gimmick is so pure. Just hey, I don't want to fight, but I can wrestle if I need to. And I think there's so much staying power with that gimmick. I would enjoy. I kind of wish the 24 title was still 24/7 was still around, because there was a way to get Ariana to appear on all 3 brands. Do it, do it.
Here's a curveball back. I actually had Ariana Grace as well. It was funny.
There we go.
Because it was totally within a character moment of Lola being like, listen, princess. She was like, oh, me? And I thought that was the best thing ever. Like her just popping herself by saying that. Talk about character work. That's how it's done. I do think she should make some appearances. Even she's in the crowd, not doing anything on the main roster, my friend.
Yeah, let's purify the locker rooms across the WWE.
Said, if someone wanted to hang out with you, connect with you online, how'd they go about doing that?
You can find me on Twitter at says, just like it says on the screen, on the gram at said is the answer. Usually I'm on WWT Live, spreading the good gospel of Lola Vice on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. I also write for a few brands, including that one like Daily DDT. And as you see me in this suit, I do journalism work as well. So you can check out any of my work on cedricdweldon.com. Also, sports writing, combat sports writing, all that good stuff. I'm usually somewhere.
We got a respected journalist on this show. So take that, Jack Farmer.
Take that, Chase U.
He actually has degrees. Jack Farmer was on assignment this week. Hit him up at Real Jack Farmer across all social media. We'll be back actually 2 weeks from today with our NXT Battleground review. We got to go on a little summer break. Speaking of journalism, I'm covering some baseball stuff nationwide, so I'll be out of town for that. But if Jack Farmer was here, he'll stop the show the way he wants to, but he's not. So I'll say, see you guys in 2 weeks. This is Draped in Gold. Learn more at drapedandgold.com. Peace out, said.
Peace.